Hello, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 18 of Super Geeks. My name is George, and joining me today is, as always, Carlos Pedraza. How are you, Carlos?
I am great. Happy holidays, everyone. We're at Episode 18. Has it really been that many?
For Season 2? I know. Yeah, you've been with us 19 out of the... the other way around. 17 out of the 18 episodes.
He has been here like 19 episodes. He's done, what, 2 reactions?
No. The only episode he didn't do of Season 2 was Episode 1, where you and Timmy and I were on it. And he was supposed to join us, but he didn't, remember?
He's done 2 episodes of Reaction Who, though. It makes
sense. Yeah. I'm talking about the regular show, though.
That's like extra credit.
Yeah.
Extra credit counts.
Yep.
If it didn't count, you wouldn't get extra scores on your stuff.
It's like the police officer showing up to tell kids what not to do for the side things. But, yeah. And, Son, how are you doing today? Son is also with us today, by the way.
I am here. I am present, currently at home, taking care of Mother, who's come home from surgery.
Hopefully that surgery went well. I'm assuming it did. She's alive, right?
It seems to have gone well, but we're still having problems with recovery. Mother's always been a slow recoverer.
I think a lot of people are when it comes to surgery. I've only had one in my life, and it was my...
No, I mean, like, my mom takes weeks to recover from bruises, so...
Ouch! Yeah. Well, that's not good. Hopefully Mom will regenerate like the doctor. And maybe she'll even become younger, and she can yell at Son with a little bit more energy. You know what I'm saying?
I'm not stepping out there because that's some stuff I don't want to get into because that will get us demonetized.
There's no monetization. But she might actually turn into a different person. Anyways, that's a different story. All right, so today, there's a lot to talk about this week. Sometimes on this show, well, any podcast out there, if you look around, sometimes people go too far to try to scrabble for like something to talk about, and they do the old clickbait stuff, and that's annoying. What we try to do is try to actually have things that are actually worth talking about. At least we try. Sometimes we don't.
Better known as things we can argue about.
Debate? I like that word better.
Whichever. Debates are made up of arguments.
Yeah, it is true. They're intelligent arguments, though. There's a difference, I guess. Maybe. That's what I was told.
Between a debate and an argument is that, one, you can still remain friends after.
I know. You can do that with both. It just depends on how clung on to your values you are that you have to, Anyways, so...
How about if we just get into a debate?
Yeah, that's why I said anyway. So, that's what it meant, Carlos. Follow the lines. Anyways, no, I'm just kidding. But Star Trek has released the newest short trek, which is called The Brightest Star. And Son and I wanted to argue about this, and it's funny we mentioned that. We did. We talked about this before the show. And it's a 15-minute one of their webisodes. And this one was about the origin of Saru. And for me, I have one opinion about it. Son has another. I'm going to let Son take the lead on this. And then we'll get everybody else's view.
No, because your opinion is the prevailing opinion. Go ahead and state your...
Well, all right, I offered. Okay, so for me, this is just my opinion. For me, I loved it. I loved how they handled this backstory, this exposition that would, if you watch this and go back, and I did actually, and you watch season 1 of Discovery, not the whole season, but I watched key episodes, it offers a lot of nice exposition. I kind of wish Dayton had been able to make it tonight. He wanted to, but I was going to ask him if he was aware of how much of his background they had given him before he wrote his novel. I have a feeling this was kind of a... who was the one? Was it Alex Kurtzman? Who was the one that left Discovery recently? Carlos, can you remind me? Who was it that left the show?
It wasn't Alex Kurtzman because he's still around. He's in charge of
right. Who was it that left though? I forget.
Well, they fired a couple of showrunners, and so I don't know which one you mean.
Okay, all right. Well, that's generally speaking. Like what I meant was I wasn't sure if they. I feel like this episode came out after that happened, because I feel like this information is a retcon that was not in their original sort of Bible. They had the general thing about he comes from a race that are like there's the predators and the prey, and and their people were the prey, but the way they described them on the show up until now, I got the impression, I don't know about the rest of you, I got the impression that the Kelpians were sort of on the same planet with this other race, and it was a thing where they were fighting each other. It was like survival thing, but what ended up being the case in this episode was far different. And just so everybody knows, if you are listening, if you have not watched this episode, or you're from the UK, because you're not going to be able to watch this without finding other not legal means to watch it, because in the UK, Americans.
Yes, we know.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people listening might not. Netflix isn't going to air those shorts, so there's a lot of information you learn about how there's this alien race, and they sort of pose themselves as gods to the Kelpians on this world, and they sacrifice. The stalemate is the balance, as they call it, is that the priests offer. Saru's father is one of the priests, I guess, and they offer like sacrifices to every so often. So you give them up, and then they don't mess with everybody until then. The next time it's supposed to happen, and Saru he sort of poses the question, why can't I challenge the authority? Why can't I ask the questions? Why do we have to not wonder what could happen if we did this? And his father has that old trope view of, this is how we keep the peace. This is how it's sort of like, you don't mess with the authority. So there's a lot of messages that are Star Trek-y messages in this. And the ending, of course, where they bring in who his first contact officer is, who turns out to be, spoiler, Michelle Yeoh as Giorgio, albeit younger lieutenant, and she had the markings I didn't notice till the third time I watched it of the Shenzhou on the. So apparently she served on there for a long time. But I like that idea that she was. It makes sense narratively that she brought him into the world of Starfleet. Now, because it took place apparently a long time ago, because she was a lieutenant, he became she said in one episode the first Kelpian, or they said he was the first Kelpian in Starfleet. But the thing that they kind of misfired on, in my opinion, was the fact that there are no other Kelpians in Starfleet, unless we're going to find out later that there's something changed in that.
You don't know that.
Yeah, that's the part that's. But before we get into Sun's opinion, because she's going to argue with me big time, what did you think, Carlos?
Well, I'm sort of two minds about this, and actually, I would love to hear Sun's opinion first, because I'd rather dive in knowing that you two have differing opinions on it. So,
all right, Sun,
go for it, Sun.
Okay. So the big thing here with The Brightest Star is I enjoy the Saru beginnings arc. I have no problem with that. It's kind of a alien version of the original Stargate movie. Superior race shows up on planet, starts to demand the harvesting of humans for God knows what the humans even really
That's
know
a good analogy.
is going on. And it's just with the Kelpians this time. Well, you have the one of them who's always questioning, the one who's always questioning, who wonders about life beyond what life exists. And this is another well thought out trope. I have no problem with the Saru backstory. My problem becomes, well, okay, I understand that, wow, Saru is kind of this mega engineering genius who took the equivalent of a piece of random armor that fell off of a ship and turned it into a radio. Yeah, that would be like, I honestly, I don't know. I guess the biggest equivalent would be like handing a Native American from the very early colonial era and giving them like an AM FM radio and them turning it into a ham radio.
That's interesting. You know what I never thought of before? I understand where you're going with this, but one of the things, I think this is part of what some people complain about where they didn't offer enough, is we don't know that they didn't have prior technological knowledge, but they were knocked back down by these aliens, or back to.
No, we know that happened. They said that it happened before.
Oh, did they say that?
Yep.
So that makes a big difference. So it wasn't like a bunch of stone men taking a transistor radio and trying to work and reverse engineering it.
You have to remember, we don't know how many generations apart the end of whatever conflict was, and them showing the episode is. All we know is that,
and we also don't know if it was a conflict. It could just as easily have been been a situation where the Baul, which is the name of the
Baul, okay, yep,
of the aliens who harvest the Kelpians, they may be native to Kaminar, and but they were the alpha species that ended up developing technologically, and then they may have left the world and now use Kaminar literally as just basically a livestock pen for raising their food.
I mean, can I just say how that Baul sounds so much like a Stargate name, like Jafar Baul.
It does. You know what? It does. That's weird that you said that. It's weird. You know what I noticed though? Like, I forgot about that. Like, I was trying to remember. That's true. Like,
but here's the thing.
Go ahead.
They say harvest, and for most people, this seems to imply, like the mirror episode, that they're eaten,
and nobody knows what they're using them for.
They never exactly say what happens.
Hopefully, that'll be harvest. Yeah, and hopefully that will be explored in later.
Well, you're talking. Well, about
it will be. You're right. We don't actually know the exact details other than their prey.
About a society that's been returned to an agrarian state. Therefore, a harvest is what they see it as anyway.
Well, they see it. What they've done is they've because they're sentient prey. They've ritualized the process into something that they call the Great Balance. So, which is how you could see some. We've seen amongst conquered peoples in history that their society, the conquered people's society, adapts by doing a similar kind of thing. They become accustomed to their role as subservient.
Hey.
What's
Sorry,
that?
Keep going, Carlos.
He said like Chicago's Cubs fan.
Anyway, I'm just saying that there's a lot of questions it raises, which is great, and they knew that. I think one of the tweets I saw from one of the writers basically says, we know we answered some questions, but we also created a lot, but be patient, we're going to get around to it. And in fact, we do know that one of the season 2 episodes is going to deal with Saru's homeworld in some way. Well, and that's probably the reason why you saw this was the first one of the short treks that doesn't take place aboard the Discovery or Starfleet vessel. And I think the reason why, from a economic standpoint, is that they're going to be using this again, those same sets and everything again for this episode in season 2. So
most of it was CGI from at least the distance, but yeah, a couple of huts. But yeah, I know what you're saying. A beach.
My biggest conflict with this entire episode is when Giorgio shows up. That's
okay.
It.
I had a feeling that was what it was.
That is my entire issue with the episode.
Oh, why is that so terrible?
Yeah, I'm curious.
For whatever reason, we have a sentient race that is imposing its will and harvesting another sentient race. Now, I don't know if at this time Starfleet and the United Federation of Planets or whatever is kind of in this, we don't want to get involved with the thing because another
they have the Prime Directive at this point.
Yes, but there are right. But then here comes Saru, who sends out his message, his looking to the stars moment, and then we have the pen pal moment where
the pen pal, yep.
He has contact back, and he says, "Help me." And Giorgio, unlike any other captain that we have ever seen in Star Trek, goes, "Look, there are rules, and I had to fight just to come here and get you. Which, by the way, I have called this
Uh,
about the him being a pre-warp and being just yanked because he is someone who thinks, of something greater.
no,
Anyway,
that's not why. Um, I actually talked about this. The episode Son's referring to when she says pen pals is a Star Trek: The Next Generation episode where Data.
Yeah, I know the episode.
No, I'm talking to the audience, not to you. I know you know. I'm talking to the audience. There's an episode called Pen Pals.
Carlos, you
I'm not. I'm just saying I know that he knows, but for the general people that might be listening, what we're referencing is an episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation Season 2 called Pen Pals, where Data hears a call for help from a young alien girl on a world that's about to go boo 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 boo, and he basically has to fight with Picard about the Prime Directive and helping her because she asked for help. The difference in this episode, and this is just my argument, is that the Baul interfered first. Therefore, it wasn't the same situation as a pre-warp society asking for help. They were interfered with already, and that was why Giorgio had a sort of room to ask the Federation.
Nobody's debating that. Nobody's debating that at all.
I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
Go ahead.
Nobody is questioning that Giorgio didn't have the wiggle room. The problem for me with pen pals is, at the end of the day, and every other captain has done this at some point, they have, and yeah, sure, Giorgio was a lieutenant at the time, but all you had to do was change a line in her dialogue. Let her say something like, "What's going on here is horrible. I can't stand for this. It will take time, but you and me together, we can save your people."
Well, that's subjective.
All of that shit.
I don't think there's anything broken.
You know what?
I think.
You know what? Here's the other thing. That line alone would have given so much more emotional impact to how much Saru hates Michael when Giorgio dies.
It still does. And I'll tell you why in a minute. But Carlos, what were you about to say?
Well, I mean, I think I guess I still don't understand why you have a problem with it. I mean, I think that the line that you're looking for is quite likely going to be the whole point of the season 2 episode in which we go revisit Kaminar. So, I mean, the point I think of this short trek was not only just to, sort of flesh out Saru's backstory, but also to tee up this upcoming episode. So, if this short trek was all we were ever going to see about Kaminar, then I guess I might agree with you. But knowing that it's basically a setup for what's coming later, I'm okay with that. I had other problems with the episode, but like that what? Was not among them. Well, okay, so I think George, I don't remember if we had this argument during last week's episode or if we had it before or after, but we did debate the whole, potential Prime Directive implications of this short trek, and I was actually glad to see that Giorgio sort of refers to that when she comes to rescue Saru.
No, I hadn't seen. I only saw the episode about 3 days ago.
I know, but we didn't we debate this before?
We talked about it last week because
last week.
Oh, did we? All right.
Yeah. I thought we did. Thank you, son.
This is where we got into.
That's why I brought up pen pals. I feel like
but you have to remember that pen pals happens over 100 years later.
I understand that, but
we have an extra 100 year. It's not precedent. It hasn't happened yet.
No, this one. I mean. Let me clarify. What I mean is, there was an alien race. The only difference between this and pen pals, the only difference was someone cried out for help. However, it was because another more advanced civilization had
That's
already...
not the difference between these two.
Another race interfered with this race already.
Well, and I'm not saying you're wrong, but what I'm saying is that that's not really the only difference or even the major difference between the two. The major difference between the two is they happen 100 years apart.
Well, that
There's
too.
100 years of research, cultural development, and God knows what else that has
I
happened
agree with you, but let me
between
ask you this.
Kaminar
So
and
what you're
pen pals.
saying-
So to try to retcon what's happening on what we
I
saw on
don't think it's a retcon.
Kaminar with a view with what we saw 100 years later on Next Generation, I think doesn't make any sense.
Well, hold on. Son, wait,
this.
son. I want to let you talk. Just let me get this thought out real quick. I just want to say the only thing that's different about this episode versus all the other Prime Directive episodes, all of them, as far as I can remember, I could be wrong, is we usually are presented with the situation where they have to decide if they have the right to play God. Now, the difference in this episode is another alien race, all that was advanced like them, had already. It would be like going to a planet.
Yeah, you said that already. I think that,
doesn't that change the dynamic though a little bit? In
well,
terms
like
of
I said, I'm not saying you're wrong about that. We have Captain Kirk was famous for doing this. So we have seen this kind of situation again and again and again.
Oh, you're right.
In the original
Nazi
series.
episode, another race had already interfered.
The Nazi episode,
yeah.
the Apple episode, we had lots of episodes.
You're right.
Where
I'm misremembering.
Some other alien influence.
Has anybody forgotten the episode where Wesley Crusher is going to die? I don't remember those people being warp capable. I remember those people having a god.
Wait, which one? Wesley almost died a few times.
The Eos episode.
Which one?
I think it was Eos. I think that was the planet.
Oh, the almost naked people episode.
Yeah. The one where he crushes the flower garden and he's
if you say so.
That was first season Next Generation.
Yeah.
When lots of things were just not good.
Yeah, first season of the Next Generation, very reminiscent of the original series.
She has a point because the Naked Now was kind of
wow. but it was a reaction to the.
I know.
I mean, the Naked Now was a remake, but how they were treating, there was a lot of things that Gene Roddenberry in that first season wanted to do differently. That he didn't want the captain beaming down, and so that's why he invented Riker. He wanted to have the Prime Directive enforced more, and so that's why we had that episode with Wesley. And both of those, by the way, kind of went by the wayside. There was plenty of Prime Directive, breaking in Next Generation.
Actually, Season 2 actually, a lot of people hate Dr. Pulaski, but she was part of the best
I like
parts.
Pulaski.
I liked her a lot. No, I loved her, and I will say this, since we're talking about the Prime Directive, most of the episodes, including Pen Pals especially, she was actually one of the best people to pipe in about the Prime Directive, in my opinion.
I remember that. I loved Pulaski.
She's a great doctor.
I loved her.
Technophobe. That's her problem.
She was sort of She was kind of a McCoy remix, She was crusty in that way that McCoy often got.
Here's the thing that she was that McCoy never was. She was interested in Klingon culture.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, I'm not trying to say she was a carbon copy of McCoy, but that's why I appreciated the dynamic that she introduced. Because remember, in the first season, there was like zero conflict amongst the main cast, and in the second season when she came aboard,
that was by design.
Yeah, of course.
Roddenberry hated the idea of conflict.
And that my point was that it was one of many mistakes that he made in those first two seasons.
The entire reason we have Deep Space Nine is because Roddenberry died.
Roddenberry was already out of the picture before.
Well, he was literally out of the picture.
I know, but he lost effective control of Next Generation after the second season. So that wasn't really that.
And by the way, Raul, have you seen I linked you the episode. Did you see that short track about Saru's origin?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay, no big deal. Have you seen Star Trek Discovery season 1?
I have not.
Okay, not a problem. I just want to know where you were as far as this part.
I just think it's really important to state that at this point in the development of the Federation, you are going to have a hell of a lot more people breaking the Prime Directive than following it. because it is a law that is established, but the majority of captains are going to be human, and they're going to want to impress their morality upon what is going on around them.
Before we get into a huge debate about the Prime Directive and sidetrack, because people can argue the Prime Directive for a long time. As far as how it worked in this short trek, as far as a mini-sode trying to tell a short origin story, we know that they said that she's a lieutenant because they wanted to establish that Saru had enough time to be not only introduced to an advanced culture, but to enter Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Right. So do we feel that worked? And obviously she had an influence on bringing him on the Shinzo. Do we feel that works? Like, does that make sense backstory wise? I think it does.
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, I think that was probably, we know from the second series trailer that there's a scene in the trailer where Burnham says to Saru, you are my family, and I think that's something that Giorgio consciously built in her crew aboard the Shenzhou when she became its captain.
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things I love. There's so many haters for Discovery, but one of the things I love about what they have established on Discovery is that we get the sense that this captain, by the time you meet her in the very first episode, in the first two-parter, before she dies, you may hate the way she dies, I do, but even though we get Michelle Yeoh back, is that they purposely say that they've had 7 years. It's like they know. It's almost like a season of Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Star Trek Discovery, Voyager, Star Trek The Next Generation, Star Trek Voyager, and they're saying like 7 years we've had and nobody knows the backstory. So that allows for books, comics, and all that other stuff. But everybody in the audience that's a Trek fan knows the 7-year thing is like the established time it takes for an average crew to be established on screen. So it's like a little side joke, in my opinion.
Season curse.
Well, except you have to remember that when Burnham came aboard, that was 7 years from the time Burnham came aboard. Saru was already on the ship before that, so we don't know how many years.
We don't know how many years
of that.
Yeah, and they have the same obviously uniforms for quite a while. Oh man, the Trekkies are going to go crazy with the discrepancies between the uniforms from JJ when they go with George Kirk, from those uniforms to. I know. I'm just joking.
I don't either. I'm with you on this, son.
Let's not talk about it.
Honestly.
It doesn't fucking matter if they want to.
No, I just realized that we have another reason for them to go and then
there will be. If they're doing their job.
Because,
sorry, son. Go ahead. Go ahead, son.
If they do. Okay, we'll not cover it because it sucks the oxygen out of the room for their.
No, I agree.
My point of view on it, I agree too. My point of view on it is if this creative team behind Star Trek Discovery isn't doing things that's taking some risks and changing things and being creative, then they're not doing their job. So. That when you take risks like that, some people are going to not like it, and sorry, no one's forcing you to watch.
All right, let's change gears a little bit because as far as Star Trek goes, we are all geeks here. That's why the show is called Super Geeks. And oh my God, there's so much to talk about. When Star Trek Discovery actually starts airing season 2, I mean, we have one more short trek to go, which the Harry Mudd episode. And by the way, I'm looking forward, based on the trailers, about that. But once the show picks up again on season 2 in January, yeah, of course we're going to be talking about it. But you know what? There's just only so much energy you can put into it before you're mostly speculating. This is a 15-minute webisode. I loved it. I thought of course, Sun has some great points, but let's move on to another topic because we can debate this all day. But I'll tell you what, I guarantee you that the Star Trek fans are already on the message boards going crazy right now, so they can have a lot more energy and invest into this than I can right now. So Marvel, oh my God, they have really screwed with us, and they also blew our minds, at least me. 2 trailers dropped over the last 2 weeks, And one of them I was expecting, but they did take their time finally revealing it. I'm going to start with the second one, because that's the big one, is Avengers Endgame. Now, for me, Infinity War made me want to commit suicide. It's a good thing I didn't own a gun. No, I'm just kidding. I seriously, if my counselor's out there and you hear this on the web, I'm joking. I'm joking. But a lot of people have said this. It makes them feel depressed. The Avengers Endgame trailer it needed to do this in order to set up the whole how much they've lost, where we're at right now leading into this new movie. This is just a teaser. I guarantee you in the second or third trailer, it's coming out in April, so the second and third trailer is going to show a lot of stuff. They started this trailer with a depressing Tony Stark talking about how he's almost out of oxygen, he's going to die. There was a thing I picked up on that I posted on Facebook about. He focused on the word rescue. We know that Pepper is going to be they've already confirmed this. She will become Rescue, which is a female Iron Man suit she wears in the comics. And so he says, no hope of a rescue. My opinion is that she's the one that's going to rescue him, because he's been sending out signals to her, or messages to her, and it makes sense. The closer he gets to Earth, she comes out with a rescue suit. That's just my opinion. But as a comic fan, as a fan of having watched all of the 10 years of Marvel movies, including Infinity War, Raul, have you seen these trailers?
Yes.
Let me start with you, my friend. What do you think? You're a Marvel fan. What's going on?
Well, I think they did the right thing. Now, I don't think they did the wrong thing with Infinity War. I just think it was a different tone than all the rest of the Marvel movies. And like you were saying about the fans of Star Trek, people don't like different tones from expected properties. And but I think that what they did was bold. To be completely honest with you, Infinity War was a bold move, and they have been setting it up for a long time that Thanos was going to win. Thanos was going to win. He's much more powerful. So how do you stop a figure like this? We're going to see very soon.
That's true.
It takes brand new thinking to stop somebody like this, just like it does in real life.
That's true. What do you think, Carlos?
Well, I agree with Raul. This was exactly what they needed to do. I mean, they needed because here's the thing: if you're a longtime comics fan, you know that they're going to win eventually, in some way, somehow, whatever. So you really have to sell the idea that they lost, that it was devastating, that
exactly.
That these people are depressed, that there's little to no hope, that there's nothing that they can do to save the universe, and they have to sell it.
So the fan outrage is only kind of proof that they did sell it and sell it well.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it should be different from other trailers you've seen from Marvel movies, because it has to be. Otherwise, you don't buy the ending of Infinity War. So they had to really extend that, and the lower you start, the greater the triumph at the end. So they're just really following that well-established kind of storytelling pathway.
I have a question, because I have not seen Infinity War. Does he actually go through with his plan of removing like 50% of the galaxy?
Yep.
Just like they say in the trailer. Okay. Yeah. They lost basically.
I have a follow-up question. Does that mean Jeff Goldblum is dead?
We don't know. Nobody knows. They have established. It's funny, son. You said that. There have been a lot of follow-ups where the Russo brothers said, "Well, no, they did. They died, and this person didn't die that we didn't see off screen." It's funny. Nobody's ever mentioned him. He's the Grandmaster. Is that what he's called, Carlos? I forget.
Yeah, I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want to know if he's dead.
Is that the one? Is that the last one you saw, son?
I mean, yeah, that's pretty much the last one that I've recently seen.
Nothing wrong with that. Infinity War. Oh, Jesus Christ! I'm telling you right now, when that finally,
honest, I've not seen any of the Avengers movies, and I kind of don't care to.
Well, it's not a crime. It's not a
Well,
crime.
it is a crime.
You,
No,
That's
wait,
too
wait,
bad
wait.
because
That is
Civil
an
War I thought was
unforgivable
great.
crime. Son should be lashed and beaten a few times.
I mean,
a few times.
I've never wanted. I don't want to watch the Justice League movies. So I mean,
that
can be
one you're
forgiven.
fine.
That can be
no,
forgiven.
you have
That
to
can be
watch it just for
forgiven,
the
really.
Flash because he's just adorable.
I'm not even talking about the new ones. I mean, like even the animated ones. I've not cared
Oh,
for
all
watching
right, well.
group team movies.
Son, I will say this. You actually, when it comes to the Avengers movies, you need to be tried. And when Trump gets his way, no, I'm just kidding. Seriously
But
though,
see,
these
here's the
movies
thing.
are going to be.
For
It's
a
the way
lot
they
of-
built up the whole thing. That's
Right,
what makes
for
it.
For a lot of these teen movies, it feels like you have had to have watched some of the other stuff, and I haven't watched all this linear progression.
Somewhat, but not. No.
No, the
you
Avengers
don't.
is self-contained.
I've never watched any of the Hulk movies. So
You don't have to.
No, you don't have to.
You don't have
have
to
to.
because none of those were very
Okay.
successful.
You don't have to watch Black
What-
Panther. You don't have to watch.
What? Okay, I don't know what the hell this Black Widow lady is. What the hell is she doing?
Just
in
watch the
these movies?
Avengers movies and you'll be
I've never watched
fine.
That movie.
That's her
Son,
point. She
they're
doesn't want to watch the
self-contained,
Avengers,
son. They're
Avengers
self-contained.
movies.
Okay. Yeah, you don't have to, obviously, but if you want to be cool, then you kind of have to. I'm sorry. There's no other way around it. I'm sorry. It's like you either watch them or you don't, and you either get on the bandwagon or you
I'm
don't.
calling a different way. I'm afraid to start.
I know. I was like that with Friends, but then years later, I still regret it. And no, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not.
Look, dude. You need to lay back and watch some Bob Ross. Just calm down.
Oh yeah,
and beat the devil.
I
out of
love
that
Bob
person.
Ross.
Son,
Paint some
He
happy
literally gives me the chills up and down my spine.
son, you watched The
That's
Flash.
ASMR, Carlo.
You finally started watching The Flash. The difference is that when it comes to the Avengers movies, if you're not on the bandwagon, if you're not with us, you're against. I'm just kidding. I'm sounding like George Bush. Anyways, I sound like a different George. If you're not with us, you're against us. No, really, it's just the thing is that these are amazing movies, and Disney knows what they're doing. And like they took these characters. Look, me and Carlos are DC fans. I'm waiting for my dog to start barking.
That's not gonna happen.
He's very
That could
excited.
be all night.
He's very excited. He can't help it.
No, she's.
He too
No,
is
Your
she's,
a
dog's
Marvel
excited
fan.
about Endgame. That's
She
the
heard
key.
Son
Alright.
say that she never watched the Avengers movies, and she started flipping out. But my point is that unlike the DC movies,
Yeah, the DC movies assume property and title
They
with
do.
their own.
Carlos and I love the DC movies. Okay, so when we watch things like the CW shows, which we'll get into in a couple of minutes, if they do a good job of bringing back Easter eggs and like nostalgia, like we get it. When it comes to the Marvel properties, me personally, I was not a big Marvel fan. I liked Spider-Man, kinda. I liked the Hulk. I wasn't like, I have to buy their every issue. But with DC, I did. But when they started translating them to these movies back in 2008, when Iron Man came out, that's when the whole thing started. 10 years ago. Everything changed. When they made the version on the movies of how this property, how this universe works, I was like,
That's because you never read the Ultimate series.
I did actually. I did. I actually own all of the Ultimate graphic novels. I even when they first came out, just so you know, I just.
But what's the point you're trying?
Yeah,
to
my
get to?
point is that when it came to the movie version, it made me care more about how they're making this a seamless, sort of consistent thing. And then when you get to this point, they earned, like when Infinity War came out, you built up 10 years of all these stories slowly building up. Thanos, like the after credit scenes, all this stuff of what's going on. And then they get to this point, and then they build up this team, and they try to save the world. And the difference was that they lost. So they ended the last movie with everybody lost. And, oh my God, what are we supposed to do now? And this trailer, this teaser, picked up where they left off. They didn't say, there's hope, like everybody's hoping for. No pun intended. They said, Nope, we're still depressed because half the world died. What are we supposed to do? And they haven't. And the one thing they do that offsets this trailer from being shoot yourself in the head, Scott Lang. If everybody would have to watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, and you know what? They're gonna have to trust that people watch the end credits, because by the end of that, if you look at it, he has that van. You know what I'm talking about, Carlos?
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
He has
clearly
the
what they're
mystery machine?
doing.
Okay.
What's that?
No, he has a scary stalker machine. Basically, they make fun
Yeah,
of it.
I mean, he's got that quantum technology, and somehow he found his way out of the quantum land.
The quantum
and,
realm, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so he's the guy who finally got out of Quantum Leap. Okay.
Yeah. So, oh yeah. I see what you did there. Anyway, yeah. So I think
nobody
there's
survives
a reason.
Quantum Leap.
There's a reason why we see Scott Lang at the end of this trailer, and it's the one sort of funny part of the whole very depressing trailer. In a lot of ways.
Exactly.
Which, by the way, I have to take a real quick nod to Marvel. The Ant-Man movies are literally my favorite Marvel movies because they are
pretty dang
different.
funny.
They are completely different. They are inherently funny. They are wildly. Instead of being a story about Ant-Man, it's a camaraderie show. It's a coterie show where it's based on a group of people, and they're all good actors, and they're all fantastic additions to the Marvel universe. In fact, some of the strongest, in my opinion, because they base their relationships on things like father-daughter relationships, and that is an interesting take that nobody else has even touched in the Marvel universe, which I adore. I absolutely adore.
Yeah, I can go with that. That works for me. But I think he's going to play a big role in whatever the big plan is that Captain America and Black Widow have, and we've gotten hints that it has something to do with time travel, and so we'll see. I think it's going to.
The plan.
I feel like it's going to be.
They hinted that in Doctor Strange.
Right.
That time travel is his best power, is his most powerful ability.
Yep, absolutely. And not only that, but a lot of people, here's another funny part. On Twitter, the Russo brothers kept saying, no, Endgame is not, okay, a lot of people have argued with me about this. They said, Endgame's not the title, we never said that. But what their exact words were, the title of the next Avengers was not said in the previous, yes it was. Doctor Strange said in that last moment before he dusted off, he said, we're in the Endgame now. It turned into the title. Now, another thing, too, is that I was creeped out in a good way when you watch that trailer and the whole Marvel logo dusts away. What do you guys think of that? Because that made me go, wow.
You mean at the beginning?
Yeah. when the Marvel logo dusts away. That was deep feels. That was like, ah.
That was like watching his parents have sex by mistake.
Yeah, kind
of. That oddly did not occur to me. But no, when I saw it, I thought it was nice. I thought it was cute.
No, it wasn't cute.
But it didn't really give me the feels. It felt like this makes sense.
Well, then you're a heartless, non-human Adam Warlock. I'm sorry, Carlos.
I would be 100% glad to be non-human at this current point in time.
No, but Carlos is like Adam Warlock at this point. He knows what I'm talking about.
I never liked Adam Warlock, to tell you the truth, but sorry. Anyway, no, I thought it was a nice touch, but I wouldn't, necessarily read too much more into it. I felt like the real gut punch really was, that we're watching, that we're in the last hours of Tony Stark's life, because he said he's running out of food and water 4 days ago, and you really can't live much beyond 3 days without water.
It's Sir Riri Williams as Ironheart.
Yeah. So anyway, my point is that was a good kind of emotional gut punch to really kick off that trailer, and it worked, I think.
Now, I'm not going to stress this into too much of a conversation, but on the tail end of the same subject, we got the Captain Marvel trailer number 2. Now, they followed up with Brie Larson punching the old lady in the face, which I thought was kind of funny, but they still didn't show the Skrull shape change. Carlos, what do you think of that?
They want to save it.
You know what? They're saving it, and I'm totally fine with it. We know it's a Skrull that she hid, otherwise she wouldn't hit an old lady. And we saw a Skrull,
Or would she?
well, probably not. But
I don't know. Has
we
she
saw
met
a
many
Skrull
old ladies?
pre-shaped
They're kind of
hand.
vicious.
Have you met any old ladies that can take the punches that lady?
Yes, I have. Anyways, carry on.
You've seen a black?
They're called the greatest generation, son.
You've
Yeah.
seen an old lady take a punch like that and just like get up after
Yeah, the
being
one I
railed
punched.
into
No,
a
I'm just kidding.
wall.
Well, we know it's a Skrull. So, yeah. So, you know what? If it's I'm assuming it's a cool visual effect. I'm fine with them actually waiting to show that in the finished film. You know, in fact, they may not actually have finished that effect at all. You know, very often these trailers are made without all of the way before all of the visual effects are done. So it's quite likely that it hasn't even been finished yet.
Well, she did do a drop kick on the bus. Wow, that was a cool moment. I mean, that was Granny Oakley. She was like, oh my god, seriously, if a Skrull had to pick a perfect body, and I just want to know if the glasses were part of the shape change. Anyways.
I was actually more impressed by the space scenes when she actually looked like Harold Danvers' binary form from X-Men.
You know what? I'm going to actually disagree with you a little bit on that one. That was the moment that should... Okay, I'm going to call it the Super Saiyan moment, because I'm not a Dragon Ball Z fan. But I know what people are talking about when they reference this. When her hair goes up, and she does the whole, I'm awesome, I'm about to get awesome. But when she flies into space and she starts shooting all the spaceships... That was the most CGI-looking shit I've ever seen in a Marvel trailer.
Worse than Green Lantern? I don't think so. Green Lantern was a vacation from
I'm
reality.
not even sure if it has to do with something about the colors, but you could tell she was a CGI and everything was CGI. But I'll forgive it, because I have a feeling when the final cut happens, because this is still early, March. It's coming out in March.
Ryan Reynolds, you're never forgiven. I'm letting you know.
I would like to point out that I have seen this trailer. I have problems with this lady being Captain Marvel.
Why? This is an interesting. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't have any problems with her being the superhero. I have problems with her acting. That's what I have problem with. Like, there's this line where she talks about, I'm not going to be a part of your war. I'm going to end it. And she delivers it so fucking flatly.
I kind of like that, actually. It's interesting that you said that. I have no problem with your opinion. I'm just saying it. Interesting.
She said it so flatly. There was no gravitas to it at all.
You know, I've noticed that in trailers sometimes they deliver a line, and then when you hear it in the film, it sounds different.
There's no context, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's no context. You know, it's quite possible. I mean, Brie Larson is a wonderful actress. So there might be an on-screen reason for why she says it that way.
Right.
But trailers in some ways are sort of like an early warning system. You know, when you put them out, you in some ways as you want to see how the audience reacts, and that might help tweak the way you do a lot of things before the final film comes out. You might do different color corrections, you might change music, you might improve CGI, there's a lot of things. So this is sending it's like a test that they're putting out there and seeing how people react, and that may end up having an impact on all of those technical aspects, including the edit.
Yep, that's very true. So the CW has put out. I mean, I haven't watched it personally yet. It's the first episode of Elseworlds comes out tonight.
It's on as we speak.
Yeah, is it? Well, is it really?
Well, it's
from
already,
your time.
In the Pacific time zone where I am, it's already aired where you are.
We've all watched clips from it, and tomorrow is the Batwoman introduction. Jesus Christ! I'm blown away. I know that some of you don't keep up. Son does a little bit. Zeb. What do you? I mean, Carlos, you've watched whatever I've thrown out there. I have not seen it, and I'm pretty sure you haven't either. But based on what we have seen, they showed a clip where they fight a Mazo, I'm amazed. Balls by Maison. I see what I did there.
Yeah.
I
do you
don't want to think about your
That's-
balls, to be
it's-
honest.
Well, you might have to.
noteworthy.
So,
Amaze balls. So yeah, I did not expect to
I'd be fine
see.
with it if you'd covered them in salt and said they were your sweaty balls. I'd be fine with it.
Oh, we so went there.
Son. There's sometimes
I'm a classicist. I only believe in the Schwartz. You people are heretics.
Schwartz.
Anyways.
Well, I live in a more flexible
Believing-
universe.
Oh my God.
I did not expect Amazo to be in the
me either.
Elseworlds worlds. So it was, in fact, when he first showed up, I was like, "Who the hell is this?" Because of course he doesn't look anything like the comic book Amazo. Which good thing, because
He looked like the,
comic book
looking
Amazo
back,
looks like crap. It was designed by a 13-year-old.
He was the Amazo of the DC, the Justice League Unlimited, though, a little bit.
I guess. I mean, I didn't see that, so I
Oh,
just
you
remember
didn't?
that. I just remember the original comic version of Amazo.
Pure.
Which was not amazing.
Anyway, I realized before they said his name, I realized, oh, he's stealing all the powers. This must be Amazo. And then, like, a second later, he said, Amazo! I'm like, wow, they kept the name. Whoa. Because that's also gutsy, because come on, it's a stupid name. But, you know, the CW people usually get away because they make kind of a joke about it with how Cisco comes up with the names for things, and which I think is kind of funny. And so they're able to make it work. But Amazo is a pretty dumb name for a...
Well, yeah.
It doesn't speak like this is a supervillain to me. It's like kind of ridiculous, but I'm okay with it. I loved the clip. I thought it was great to see everyone team up. That's the way, you know, when they can pull it off, a good team up, you know, a good fight team up. I love it. Most of the time, they don't pull it off.
Carlos, here's your explanation. This is Elseworlds, right?
Yeah.
So it's the Elseworlds version of Cisco, and this version of Cisco comes up with horrible names but thinks they're great.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Oh my God, it's funny you said that, son, because Cisco has nothing to say when it comes to, according to all the clips, when it comes to Batwoman, because Ruby Rose is gonna, seriously, she's gonna blow this away. That's the episode tomorrow, in that episode, but according to the clips I've seen, yeah, she like makes him sort of speechless, which is weird for Cisco, you know.
Not
necessarily. She's not a Batman. She's like, you know what I mean? She's like, and I think
he's had this before. He's had this before with.
Yeah, he's been Twitter pated before.
Oh, that's true. That's true. Oh my God. So yeah, so this is going to be an incredible episode.
He's also been whatever that word Carlos just said with
yeah,
Danny
that $10
Trejo.
word that Carlos used. Everybody's looking it up as we speak on Google.
I have an opinion. By the way, you guys, I have an opinion.
They'll be looking it up on Twitter because he said Twitter pated, but you know.
So I don't
from
know.
Bambi, people. It's from Bambi. Remember when, you know, it's springtime and all the animals start having, you know, falling in love with each other.
We get over
Thumper
crying,
takes his
Carlos,
foot and
that
thump,
Bambi's
thump,
mom
thump.
died.
Jeez, Twitter pated. It means you're
Twitter
you know,
pated.
Yeah.
Okay,
Where?
besides
Yeah,
Twitter pated is what happens when people have a lot of shit to say and they just can't say it on Twitter because there's a character limit.
no, not only that, but they're trying to get a no, it's not only that, but they're trying to get a job somewhere. And they can't because the bosses look up their Twitter shit, you know, and they go, "Well, you said this." Oh shit!
I have no idea what you're
Your
talking
work for
about.
the president.
What are you talking about? Sometimes people look.
No,
up
no, I
people-
know what you're talking about. I don't know why you're talking about it.
Oh, I don't.
See, that's what we call twat blocking.
Oh my God!
I love how we're going to these esoteric, you know, vocab lessons tonight.
I mean, son is
Esoteric.
Good.
It's ESOTERIC.
Oh my God!
Ooh.
Where can we find you on social media? No, I'm just kidding.
Also with spelling with Carlos, not just
You know,
not just
it makes
big
it
words.
easier to Google. That's all. I'm just looking out for you.
Carlos
Gotcha,
is the new
gotcha.
Sesame Street.
Wow.
Today's
Carlos is
All
like
word.
Sesame and no Street.
I'm the Count. I'm just telling you right now because I'm a big pimp. I have a cape and everything.
See, now you've just
Wow.
turned him on.
Yes, actually, yes, you have.
Speaking of capes in a horrific way. Oh well, that was my ad. Have you guys seen the Brightburn trailer?
Yes. What?
Have you seen the
No,
Brightburn?
I have not.
I linked it, you mothers. Okay, hold on.
You linked it like an hour before.
Wait.
George.
You link it like a day.
No. I'm gonna. I am going to say this.
Let me finish, you bastard. You link it and then you follow it up with like a thousand other things.
He is correct. This is what you do. Hey, I found this trailer. Oh, and I found this trailer. Oh, and look at this place. Look at this place of this guy eating this weird bug.
It's your responsibility.
This random thought that goes on for like 5 pages.
No, 5 pages. That's big. All right, I'm going to look at it again.
You've just gotten a window into the week, our world, the weeks in between each of our episodes is. As George kind of spams us with all these, and I say this advisedly because, admittedly, I also message a lot of links to different news stories and videos, etc. So I'm in a glass house casting stones.
Yeah. So hang on one second. It's okay. So it's a movie. What this is about is Superman if he was evil. Okay, if the
what
Superman.
Do you mean if?
Well. Yeah.
Oh, this is the James Gunn thing.
Yeah, the James Gunn thing.
See,
I still say that they need to make Red Sun. The actual Elseworlds that they need to make is Red Sun.
No, this is different.
No, I don't care if it's different. That's the ideological change I want in Superman because it's so drastic and so well done. I don't care about him being evil. He is evil. No kidding. He's an alien. Get over it.
All right.
That's really alienist.
It is. It's wicked alienist. I'm going to blame Raul for everything on this one. I'm just kidding.
That's okay. What would you be different from anybody else?
I can't say anything.
Yes, you can. But I'm all right. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to post it here in TeamSpeak, just to make it easier. And yes, I'm going to allow for a couple minutes for you guys to watch it because I can edit. I can always edit this out.
Can you edit out our size of unbelievable?
I refuse to watch it, considering we are right now in the middle of a show.
No, it'll be edited. That's the difference.
Yeah. That's the thing. We will sit here in silence for like.
No, I'm telling you, it's worth it. Watch it and you'll understand.
No.
You will understand.
No, I
think the way you describe it, which is imagine Superman as a horror movie and where Superman's the bad guy, then
yes,
okay, I can see that. That sounds like fun. Plus, it's James Gunn. He does interesting stuff.
There's a novel series by a very talented man named Brandon Sanderson called Steelheart.
But if none of you have watched it, though, that's why I'm saying.
Can I finish my statement, George?
Yes, you can.
Are you gonna just like smash into me?
Go.
And so the hero characters are actually normal humans who have to learn how to destroy these superheroes that rule over cities like fiefdoms. And the first one that they come across is the most powerful, which is the Superman clone. And this is I totally recommend this. Pick up the first book by Brandon Sanderson. It's called Steelheart.
Actually, I have heard
I think I'm gonna actually check that out, Raul.
It's fantastic. He is probably one of the best fantasy writers in the business right now.
I actually have heard of that.
So here's the thing. I have visual association, so I see faces instead of names. So you guys keep saying James Gunn, and the only face that comes to my head to associate with that is Tim Gunn, the fashion designer.
Well, maybe not that.
Like one another
and like
at all.
in
They're
my
both
head,
super heroic.
Like, in my head, you keep saying James Gunn directed this, and I'm going, oh, wow, really? He's a fashion designer and a director? Wow.
Well, what
James Gunn, he did Guardians of the Galaxy and then was fired for being kind of a jerk 10 years ago.
Well, he was a
I
pervert.
mean, look, Kevin Hart just got disinvited from hosting the Oscars for the same exact
No,
reason.
he didn't. He chose to bow out. That's a different subject.
But it's still him being harassed out of the position.
I wouldn't characterize it as harassed, but
I wouldn't
yes,
either, yeah.
it was a consequence of comments that he's been making for years.
But the thing about with him was that he had already apologized. Anyways, you're right. That's a whole different subject. So what I linked was that James Gunn is doing a movie called Brightburn. What the movie's about is
Not Breitbart.
No, Brightburn. Did I say that? Sorry, Brightburn.
Brightburn, yes.
Brightburn, I'm sorry. And what the movie's about is if you take the Kents and Superman's rocket shooting into the Smallville area farm for them to discover him, up until that point, it's the same. The difference is now take any of the Children of the Corn type characters like the Hell Kids, and they're him, and you get this movie. This looks awesome. I don't normally like horror films, but the way they're spinning the Superman thing and the way they're doing it, oh my god. Oh my effing god. Seriously, people have been talking about this. It's like up until Clark is like 10, 13, 12, I think. I don't know. No more older than that. He is a character that is capable of basically destroying. He's like Chucky. If Chucky was Superman as a young kid.
Please don't make him like Chucky. I hate fucking Chucky.
Oh my god!
If you Chucky is so pathetic.
If you guys watch the trailer though,
I have seen the trailer.
He wields a steak
no, it's
knife
a great
to come
trailer.
and kill
It's a
you.
great trailer.
He can't get you above the knees. I mean, really, Chucky is sad.
Oh, all right, that part. Yeah,
believe me, folks, we do not need to spend time talking about Chucky.
Yeah, we don't.
Because here's a really nice touch in the trailer that I like is there's this one scene and it's really quick. It's a quick shot where all you see is the kid floating above like a road with a red cape.
Yeah,
you just see a corner of the red cape fluttering behind his feet, and it was a really effective shot. So yeah, I'm excited about this. Count me in.
Yep. Hey, I'm not normally a horror fan, but it's the way they're twisting it. They're mixing it with our geekdom. See, the thing for me is, it would be like
his nipples, people.
Hey, it would be like this. They're taking the worst case scenario with what could have happened with Superman when he landed, okay?
Debatable.
Well, yeah.
The 70s were the worst case scenario for Superman.
Well, look, you can... Whoa. What?
I have no
that was
context
hilarious.
for this, so you guys can laugh it up, Fuzzball.
Oh, you know what? Wow. Yeah,
Look,
you know what?
I'm the young one here. You guys know what the hell happened in the 70s.
No, it has nothing to do with being young. It just has to do with being whether you read comic books. That's fine.
Well, it has to do with it being the 70s.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I was not alive in the 70s, so hey.
I went through puberty in the 70s, and in my opinion, it was the worst decade in human history.
I was born in 1970.
Doesn't count. It's the decade in which you went through puberty that counts, and it was the worst. It was the worst decade in which you had to go through puberty. Trust me.
Maybe, but they had good sideburns, so.
No, they didn't.
Depended if you could grow the sideburns.
I take that personally. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I resemble that remark. Is that what you're saying?
One of you is younger than me. One of you is older than me. I'm not going to say who.
I'm the oldest one here.
All right, sure. It's Carlos. He outed himself when it comes to that.
Okay, whatever. So Brightburn, yes, I think I'm going to love it. I also sent you a thing for a new Netflix series that is premiering in February called The Umbrella Academy, which is an adaptation of a comic book series about 6 kids, 5 of whom have superpowers, and their adoptive father.
Ellen Page is the star.
And Ellen Page, yes, Ellen Page is one of the kids.
Isn't the guy who created the Umbrella Academy a rock star, like a real rock star? What's his name?
I don't know the answer to that. I think we talked about earlier about how I don't know anything about modern music, so it's quite possible that he is, and I have no idea.
You said this is the Umbrella Academy, and all I'm thinking is Resident Evil, so...
Yeah, well...
Oh, wow. That's actually pretty funny. I got that right. You know what? Like Captain America says, I got that reference.
I am young enough to understand this reference.
The Umbrella Academy stars Ellen Page. It's sort of an X-Men-ish.
Yeah, ish. It's spontaneous, miraculous pregnancies that result in these 6 kids to save the world and, learn why they all happened. And it is like the X-Men. They all sort of fight with each other and their powers, drive them apart as much as it brings them together. And they have names like Space Boy and the Kraken, and I think it sounds like fun. I can hardly wait. Plus Ellen Page.
Yeah, the trailer kind of weirded me out because they're all wearing masks in that academy, like that look like Robin with the white, the eyes.
Do you remember the original X-Men masks?
You mean they look like Robin, but they can fight?
No. Wait. Say that again.
I said they look like Robin, but they can fight.
Oh man, ouch. You're not gonna make it.
All I'm gonna say about Robin is that Batman put the best distraction in the world. He's dressed in dark grays, dark blacks. Dude, matte.
He literally
so
made boy meat out of Robin.
And then you have Flash. I'm not talking about the Flash. I'm talking about flashback to the 1960s, like a musical number of a superhero. Right next to him, the Boy Wonder. Guess who they're gonna shoot at? I'm just saying it's in the plans.
See in the dark?
It's in the plans, guys. I'm sorry, DC guys. It's in the plans.
Damn.
Well, the truth will tell. Time will tell, rather.
Yeah.
Time did tell. So what happened? What happened to that fair boy Robin?
Well, I can actually tell you
he
because
grew up to hate Batman.
Yeah, and the other one?
He died.
Look, this is the point of Titans.
Then he comes back and is badass. So how bad could it be?
This is why you guys need to watch Titans. It's a good show.
I'm going to.
No.
This is okay. This is the week. This is the week that I'm going to do my free 7-day trial of DC Universe. I'm going to watch all of the Titans that have come out so far, and so I'm gonna give it the shot. I've been pro the Titans since it was announced, and all the buzz about it's been pretty good, and I've stuck with my faith in it even during the dark times when you, George, thought you were going to write it off completely.
That was
have faith, George.
One
have
episode.
Faith. Yes, it was one episode.
You mean he wasn't
Fairweather
bringing
fan?
trailers to you every 2 minutes?
It was one episode, 3 episodes in.
Yeah, it was around 3 episodes in.
Hey,
you were ready to write it off, George. We've got it on tape.
I know we do. But listen, I just watched, because you forced it, I'm going to jump to this subject. I just watched the episode called Hank and Dawn, which is a reverse of Hawk and Dove. That's their civilian names. One of the best episodes that I've ever seen of any superhero show. They not only made them matter, but they made their relationship matter. And they start the episode, and it had Marina Sirtis, by the way, Counselor Troy, as Dove's mom.
I'm glad she's still getting work.
Yeah, it doesn't last long.
I'm not. She's a mean lady.
She doesn't live long. Okay, spoilers. Spoiler. I'm just going to tell you guys. Anyways, I'm not going to get too much into that. But I'm telling you right now, this episode was about Hawk suffering child sexual abuse from his coach to deflect his brother, Dove, the original Dove. As a kid, they do a lot of flash forward, flashback things. And what this guy went through, holy crap. and then the way that he connects with Dove, when it juxtaposes with her and her mom, which is Troy, Marina Sirtis, and what happens, and everybody gets sort of, it combines this sort of effort to make all of these people matter to where they're relevant to each other. And then by the time you figure out why they became the modern Hawk and Dove, they don't do the mystical thing like they do in the comic books. That disappointed me. That was the only thing. It was more about, like, they can fight. They have a reason why they can fight. I know jujitsu. I know I'm a former quarterback in my high school football team. So all of a sudden, that means they can fight. That's the only disappointing part about this whole backstory, is that their reasons for being able to do what they do is just, we feel like being able to beat up child molesters and all this other stuff. But other than that, what an incredibly powerful.
My feeling is if they can finally sort of just explain what their effing powers are and have them actually use them consistently,
They don't
I
have
would
any
be
powers.
so
That's
happy.
the thing. They don't.
Well, but they always implied that they had some kind of powers, but they would never
not
like.
in the show, though. Not in the
Well,
context
as long
of this
as
show.
they, whatever it is, as long as they're consistent and it makes sense.
That, yes,
cool.
they are that.
But,
yes,
but
yes.
in the comics, they were always sort of teasing that somehow they did have some kind of power, but they never really showed you, and it drove me a little crazy, frankly, which was weird because I actually liked the concept of Hawk and Dove. I just
they had the power to annoy Guy Gardner. Is that a power?
Yeah, and you know what's funny? It's funny you mentioned that, Raul.
Doesn't everybody annoy Guy Gardner?
Yeah, more or less. Yeah. Except for Batman, who he worships.
Of course.
Until he punched him out.
Yeah.
We talked about that in one of my Bat Radio. Anyways, no. But the point is that the only problem...
marketing for George.
It's you mentioned it. No, I'm just kidding. But the thing is that in this case, they did what they had to do for this version of the two characters, and it works. However, they sort of don't. They get into, like, Dove is always supposed to be like the. Okay, so they make these characters like they both have a traumatic event that they get together. Like, they do a lot of good exposition, they do a lot of good flashbacks. The problem is that by the end of the episode, they are meant to sort of say, you know what? We have to go help out Raven. She's reaching out to us and do whatever.
Well, Raven is sort of the center of the show.
She
in
is.
Some ways.
She's sort of the center, yes.
But I'm going to propose that we do the following, because it's kind of weird to do as long a review. Yes, but since we're going to be watching more of it, the end of the series is coming up. That would be a great time to really do a full review of the entire series.
All right, that's
because,
fair. Yeah.
Just because that we'll have seen it, more of us will have seen it, and it's. I have a feeling that it's the kind of series you're going to want to consider as a whole.
I agree with you, and not only that, Carlos, I totally agree with you. But on top of that, all I'm going to say about this episode, guys, if you have not watched the Titans show up until now, it's worth it. Some people have complained that
you tell us that every week, except for the 1 week that you hated it.
Except for the 1 week you keep. But remember, I got over it. That's my point.
I would like to. I know this is not on the list, but I would like to bring up a topic.
Go ahead.
So for the past months or so, maybe there has been we've seen. This is a callback to what I said earlier. We've seen a lot of criticism over the new Iron Man, aka Riri Williams as Ironheart, right?
We have.
Yeah, there's actually been quite a bit of controversy over it because of the whole SJWs and comic books, quote unquote, stuff, right?
All right, I'm going to have to look that up while you're talking. Keep going.
Well, we've had 2 episodes. We've had, I believe, there's been 2 comics at this point of Ironheart, in which we've had Riri Williams and we've had the character be what would become Ironheart. And in those comics, she's kind of portrayed as this stuck-up, privileged know-it-all who is praised and adored just for existing. and the actual comic book has just been released for like her number. It was I believe it's the first issue of Ironheart. I'm not entirely sure,
Well,
but
it was announced back like 2 years ago.
right. What we have is
Oh, you're talking
a
about
an
Riri
art.
Williams?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
What we have at this point is a new comic that has just recently come out. From I believe her name is Eve Ewing. She's supposed to be like a an online. I believe she's an online poet, but she received a lot of flack for being picked to do the story for this comic book because I mean, there's literally an online petition or some kind of campaign to get her into the position that led to her actually getting the position in the first place.
Oh, I know what you're
But
talking
that,
about. Yeah.
but that aside, this comic book actually dropped, and it's a really good. It's a really good story. It's kind of like she stuck up her middle finger and said, "Fuck you. Here's the story." Because she actually kind of rewrites what we know so far about Riri, and she's not this pretentious, glorified person anymore. She's human.
Well, here's the thing about the whole Marvel Phase 4 when it comes out. As we all know, Disney and Marvel, they're very, they love diversity, okay? And they love pushing as Carlos would say, pushing the story forward. I think that you're going to find, like, not only is the Black Widow movie going to come out, and Captain Marvel, I think that, like, obviously, like, they're planning things out. Now, it's very possible that she will be an important part of the next phase of Tony Stark's evolution. I think that, like, this story is one example of, and you know, when they do it in the comics first, it doesn't mean it's going to translate immediately over to the movies. You know,
Right.
it's going to be like one of those things where they have to
There's a
see.
slow transition.
There is yeah, a little bit. They want to do the right thing, but you have to give it time. So they're going to try something first in the mainstream, like what I call the mainstream, the comics, and then see how the audience reacts to it.
Well, no, yeah, I
No,
understand. But
I
my big thing is this person who has received an assload of criticism over her being tapped to be the writer for this comic book. She actually produces a really decent comic book. Now, seeing like multiple reviews of the comic, she's very wordy. There are some parts where Riri's dialogue is almost villain-like monologue.
well, yeah,
But
that's probably
but
inexperience
you
in
know,
in
yeah,
that
but yeah,
format.
that chalk that up to the inexperience in the format and wanting to convey emotion like you're writing a book. You can't do
Right.
that in a comic. But
They
yeah,
not do.
it's a really decent because it 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 basically retcons Riri's backstory because Riri has always come across as this pretentious, almost Tony Stark esque, privileged person
It's
who
only been
just
since 2016. Give it a little bit
whose
more time.
whose entire purpose in all of this is just you said I couldn't do the thing, so I'm going to do the thing. That was literally Riri's entire story before we got the Ironheart comics.
I mean, from my point of view, is that whenever anybody introduces a new concept into the comics, whether it's Marvel or DC or anybody, they have to get, you know, you can't you can have a good intention. You can say my goal is to introduce feminism or you know, LGBT, whatever. You can just say this is my goal, but you got to give it a little bit of time for the feedback. And when you introduce something in 2016, I don't know if you have had enough time to have the proper feedback to say we're going to change the entire landscape of this ongoing thing with Tony Stark and who his protege is, you know, for the new Iron Man or the new Iron Woman. What do you think, Carlos? You're a comic book aficionado, you know, as far as, you know what I mean?
Well, I guess I'm not quite clear what the controversy is here. Is it just that, you know, writer Eve Ewing is being unfairly singled out for.
Well, no, it's twofold. First, the character of Riri up until this point has been written as kind of basically a black version
Yeah.
of Tony Stark, just a pompous ass.
Yeah, but the version of Deadpool that actually existed was garbage until certain writers took it up, and it wasn't the original creator, which was what's his name?
Well, I mean, yeah, we've seen this before in. Well, yeah, you've
Sure,
seen
but
this
what's the
plenty of
point
times.
here? Like, what's going on here that is the big problem?
With Riri, the push for having Eve Ewing write the comic book was the big problem, because it was somebody who was never in comics, while other people who have been in comics for years were actually trying to get the job, and this person literally just leaps over them because of a online campaign to get them into the position. And so there was the natural outrage. This person doesn't know how to do comics. Why would we allow them? And then we get the first issue of Ironheart, and it's kind of like a big middle finger to all the critics because it's actually pretty good. I'm not saying that it's still a criticism. It's kind of a she. I believe it's a she has overcome this criticism by actually.
The character was created though by Brian Michael Bendis, who's actually a recognized
comic well.
Yeah, but I think Sun's point is that she wasn't really a great character starting out, and that the idea is that they're trying to revamp her with a new writer, and that because that writer came aboard without a lot of comics experience, a lot of people are pissed off about that. But part of the controversy around this was, like, Neil Gaiman came to her defense, saying that he and other writers like him were hired by DC and Marvel without prior experience, and they turned out fine. And then, I mean, people actually turned around and started arguing with Neil Gaiman and saying that, you're not even characterizing your own career properly. So, I mean, it's just turned into one of those. I mean, it's a big...
Gaiman's career, literally, he had the godfather of comics come and say, you, sir, you should be writing comic books instead of doing that sweaty journalism work. And that's exactly what happened. Alan Moore wrote to him directly and said, have you ever thought about doing comic books? I'm a comic book writer. I can teach you. And that's literally, when you're selected by the prior generations, Neil Gaiman, you become Neil Gaiman. That's what happens.
I think I'm still not getting across the point. Okay, yes, there was all this controversy leading up to this. The point is, she took the comic, did the comic well, and basically doing the comic well was her big fuck you to the critics.
Okay, yay, great. I mean, that's the way it's supposed to happen.
Well, that's not
we got
unfair.
it. It's clear.
Very clear, very concise.
Okay, then I think we've covered it.
I think we have. Moving on. So, Raul, for God's sakes, for the last 2 weeks, we've been trying to get you to talk about, but you've been asleep.
Well, it's hard to talk when I'm asleep.
I know. I was just going to say that. What's going on with Warhammer?
Warhammer is going into Warhammer. For those of you that don't know, I'm gonna link a video by Total Biscuit that's about.
And I will offer that link to the upload. So go ahead.
Yes. So it is a minute and a half, and it explains the Warhammer backstory. If you're interested in the lore aspect, but in general, what Warhammer is, for those that don't know, it is a miniatures game which you play small figurines that you collect, assemble, and paint, and then play with a set of rules, kind of like a futuristic battle scene, kind of from your favorite sci-fi movies. And like your favorite sci-fi movies, they have the Space Marine. They have the incomprehensible alien, the Tyranids. They have other races. It goes on and on. However, it's been going on since about the mid 1980s. I never played the first edition, but I did play Rogue Trader, which was the second edition, and it's now on to its 8th edition in the rule set. And this edition is probably the best edition I've seen so far in terms of fairness. And there is some problems. There's never going to be in a collaborative effort. There's always going to be glaring holes, even in rules creation, maybe especially in rules creation. But they're addressing that with something they call Chapter Approved 2018, which is releasing this month. And one of the things that I would like to announce for anybody that's familiar with the property, Sisters of Battle is back. They have a beta. Sisters of Battle. In this world, the main protagonists are basically humans. Humans have invaded the universe. They have gone and swept into the stars, and suddenly their grandiose leader died in a terrible, terrible mishap with his own progeny, sort of cloned progeny, and he's been installed in what's basically life support for the last 10,000 years.
Right, the Imperial Emperor type dude. I mean,
Yes,
I know what you're
that
talking
guy.
about.
That guy. So in that setting, humanity's it's a giant dystopia. Is basically what they're trying to get across to you in the world. It's bleak. It's horrific. It's where the term grimdark comes from. It's literally a term that's applied specifically to Warhammer's universe, both the fantasy and the sci-fi, but particularly the sci-fi element. The game itself has been going strong. It's a publicly traded game in England. In terms of its company, it's a
I have
worldwide
three.
phenomenon.
Carlos. Sorry, Carlos. Sorry, I meant Raul.
All
I
of us
have
Hispanics alike. You
No,
bastard.
no. No. I actually have not one but three friends offline who ended up working for a game production or workshop, or whatever it's called, game workshop.
Game Workshop.
Yeah. They ended up working for them. We used to role play together, and they ended up like moving out to whatever state it was, Colorado. No, maybe what was Ohio, whatever state it was. They ended up moving out there, and because of Warhammer, they were like, and they got a job, Game Designers Workshop. Is that what it was called? I think
Yes,
it was.
that's
Yes.
exactly it.
Yeah. So this game has a huge, it has a huge influence on a lot of role players, not just
Yeah.
board gamers. So keep going.
Yeah. So so some of the big news is that chapter approved, and that the fact that the sisters are back. But I was telling you about the sisters. The Sisters of Battle are the only women allowed to carry weapons in the Imperium in a military fashion and use that, because they're literally the ecclesiastic troops of the Imperium. The Imperium is like this gigantic dystopian government that has many divisions, and most of them have armies, have full-fledged
Like
armies
Carlos.
and navies. Like Carlos, yes.
Like Carlos, yeah.
I think you mean Zeb Zeb.
No, we mean Carlos.
No, we mean Carlos. It's a matter of opinion. However, I believe in democracy, and we've already said 2 votes Carlos, 1 vote Zeb.
All right. Well, all right. Thank you for your mini review of the Warhammer universe. I actually used to play the. I made a lot of friends on the Warhammer Online role-playing game, MMO, multi, whatever. But that was the old universe, not what you're talking about. The modern sort of universe.
There's a 40. I should also explain, when they say 40K, that's the space universe.
Yeah,
because it's been 40,000 years since.
Exactly. It's like taking the Dungeons and Dragons universe. This is just an analogy. It's like taking this fantasy world, and here's an analogy. It would be like if you guys took the Lord of the Rings universe and projected them into the future, when they developed technology. Like, say, I don't know, 1,000 years.
I believe D&D did that, or if not.
Well, they have many times.
Spelljammer did that.
They did. Spelljammer, kind of. Actually, Starfinder.
Spelljammer is not science fiction.
It's not. It's like
it's fantasy. Still,
right? You know what's funny? I'm gonna, and this is not a self promotion. The closest thing is the new thing, Starfinder. If you look it up on Google. I actually had a problem, it's sort of an issue, with one of my shows called Starfinder, where they had an IP thing with Pazlo, the people that do Pathfinder. They made Starfinder, which was the modern version of Pathfinder, which is a sort of a D&D offshoot. And I had to argue with them about, do we have a conflict of interest to go to court? Anyways, long story, it's D&D in space, fantasy in space, and Warhammer is 40K, is you take that world, you take like the Lord of the Rings world, and you say, if we go into the future and we go into space, this is what this world would look like. Is that fair to say, Raul?
That's fairly accurate. However, they've had about 20 years to work on the lore, different writers and things. So
Yeah,
the
that's
lore
true.
is extremely developed. Extremely. As much as any comic book.
Also,
go ahead, son.
Let's also not forget, both can exist at the same time. You can't say that 40K
Oh, yeah, definitely.
is what exists now and Warhammer no longer exists. They still exist at the same time.
No,
Yeah,
absolutely. You're right. Yes. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. What you guys both said.
And there's an active cosplay community. There's an active role-playing community. There's an active video game community that struggles through bad licensing, as much as any fandom does sometimes, and good licensing as it does through sometimes. Eternal Crusade. I'm looking at you. So.
All right.
Okay, before we change topics, rest in peace, Total Biscuit.
Yes, Total Biscuit is the narrator of our video.
Total Biscuit passed away of cancer earlier this year.
Who's Total Biscuit?
Total Biscuit is a games reviewer and is the guy who's narrating this video that Zeb posted.
Or is going to post. I was going to post.
All right, I wanted to give proper respect because
Yeah, no. Total Biscuit has been a kind of a YouTube superstar as a video games critic.
All right, well that makes sense. I didn't want to give, the disrespect, but
well, I mean, he started his career with StarCraft 2 casting when that was like the early days of.
See, you and Zeb are very serious gamers, whereas Carlos and I are just like, hey, you got cutscenes, right, Carlos?
Yeah.
I think we're both on the same sheet on that one.
You probably are more of a gamer than I am, even.
No, maybe. Anyways, all right. I want to cover one more topic before we call it. Gotham. Carlos was the one that said, "Hey, George, you need to watch this." Gotham is about to do their final season. I haven't watched it because of one reason. I thought Fox sucks. And I thought,
That is not true. Fox has the Orville.
Yeah, they do.
Fox has The Gifted. Fox has Legion. Well, I'm not going to that.
Everything
but
you
in terms
said,
of like
The Simpsons.
Okay, maybe
Simpsons. The Simpsons saw they're past their best years.
Fox
I'm sorry.
Had Tick. Fox had Ally McBeal.
Okay,
That's
wait.
true. But that's all a long time ago. You're talking like 25 years ago now. But, just recently, I think they've had some great shows, and Gotham's probably among them. Now, I haven't watched a lot of Gotham, and not because I don't think it's good, but because I'm just kind of troubled by all of these, supervillains sort of showing up in Gotham like way before I imagine they should have, while Bruce Wayne was still a kid. And boy, the way they depict Gotham is just so depressing. I mean, I know it's supposed to be.
It's like 1970s New York, which is what it should be.
Well,
yeah.
I mean, but you also have to remember that that's the whole point. Because it sets up that his family,
I understand the point.
It sets up that his family is the bright, shining hope of Gotham until they die.
I wouldn't say that, but go ahead.
Well, I think that it just started too early. I mean, it's like he was such a little kid when this show started. And obviously, he's grown up in the years it's been on, and he's like close to being a man.
In
now.
my opinion, in my opinion, they should change actors. But go ahead.
They are going to change actors.
Are they?
At the very end in the finale.
How do you know that? Is that an actual article?
Because I read the news, dude.
Oh, dude, really? All right.
Yeah,
So, anyways,
it's in the article I sent you.
I didn't read the part about changing actors.
Okay. Now we find out that George is incapable of reading.
No, I skim. I'm a bad skimmer.
He's a skimmer.
He just takes it off.
Is he like Tom Welling? No, when it comes to the final suit thing. Because remember,
I don't know.
Smallville ended.
Oh, I know. With just finally you saw this.
Yes, and I'm not talking about you per se, but everybody out there. Smallville, what they did wrong, which a lot of people still to this day are like,
we talked about this last week.
Did we really?
Yeah, that they took too long to get to the point.
Yeah, but we had like 3 people that watched it last week, so let's assume nobody watched it.
Wow.
Okay.
I'm being honest. Let's assume nobody listened last week. This is fresh, like Rotten Tomatoes fresh.
I wasn't listening last week.
I know you weren't because you were asleep.
We're asleep.
Friend. You were the whole point of an entire episode title. Don't wake the baby.
He was 2, wasn't he? Actually, he's been 2 so far.
No, it was "Don't Wake the Baby." Anyways, the point was that
he's been the center of 2 titles so far: "Trial by Fire," "Don't Wake the Baby."
Oh, you're right.
Oh, that's right.
Congratulations.
For sleeping through episodes, you sure get a lot of attention, Raul.
What can I say?
He's just
some people are born to it.
You know what?
So.
You're special, my friend. Anyways,
we're all special, but George, you're a little extra special.
I'm a little extra special, especially on what day is today?
There's a reason you have a harness and a leash.
Oh my God, my dog. I felt the same way. Anyways,
I think we're getting into deep dark places.
So I'm going to remind you what the article said, George, and
actually I remember
is now. That they're skipping forward 10 years, I think, for the final episode.
Are they skipping 10 years?
Yeah, the series finale for the show will leap ahead 10 years into the future, featuring Bruce Wayne's final transformation into Batman.
Where's Rachel?
Let me say it again. Batman. So so they're gonna have a different actor, I'm sure, because that's playing Bruce Wayne.
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
Don't ever do that ever again. The whole
why?
Because it was.
I think you should do it.
It was disrespectful to the entire franchise.
Hold on. Batman. Rocky.
Batman.
See, that's fine, but what he just did was. Now it's a
Scarecrow.
Wait a minute. What Carlos says us is okay, and what I'm doing is bad?
Yes. If you want honest
apparently
answer,
my whispering is much more respectful.
You're not as good. Carlos is one of those guys who can direct and act. You, however...
Oh, God.
You, however, we have to talk, my friend. We have to work on your skills.
Okay, we're getting punchy.
This is the part where Michael shows up and starts murdering George.
Anyways.
Yeah. Oh, and we're going to see Bane, too. There's going to be Bane.
Really?
Yep.
You were merely born, and you were merely... You come from the ratings. I was born to it. Anyway.
You know, it's funny. I had an app that I did a long time ago, and it just... you know what? Whatever. Anyways.
Yes, I have an app for the Bane voice, too. It's called a cup.
All right, you guys. Hang on a second.
We're hanging on to your every word, George.
No, you're really not.
I'm not hanging on. It's slippery and lubricated.
Oh my God.
Ugh.
Raul,
Carlos, you first. You first. You since you're the most experienced
most experienced at what?
at being alive, George.
Oh well, I mean,
He just called me old. Thanks, but very diplomatically.
he is a couple of years older than me, but I think as much as you think you're old, Zeb, I think you'll find that it goes like this: Carlos, George, Son, and you.
No. I'm older than Son.
No, he's older than I am. I'm
right,
definitely the baby of this group.
All right.
I just like calling him Zeb.
Yeah. Yep. You know why we call him Zeb?
That's his screen name.
That's why.
But I'm never calling you Chooch or Cheech or whatever it is.
It's Chooch.
George.
It's Chooch, but I don't even require that because that's a Son thing.
You're just George.
And
Son is Son.
It's interchangeable to me.
Like George.
Where can people find you, Zeb, on social media?
They cannot. I am invisible.
Then, all right.
He's quite literally telling the truth.
Oh my God.
Has no real internet presence.
All right, I'm gonna go backwards then. Son, where can people find you?
You can find my Facebook fan page at facebook.com/SunsealFan. That's usually where I post the stuff that I've been on. So like podcasts and things.
All right, and Carlos.
If I get more famous, I'll post more stuff there of other things that aren't podcasts.
All right, and Carlos, where can people find you?
So there's the Aximonitor.com website, which features some updates on the tardigrades lawsuit against Star Trek Discovery. There have been some new developments on that. And then, of course, the Aximonitor Facebook group and on Twitter at Aximonitor. And my personal account is at C. Pedraza.
And we will talk about this in a future episode because we only have, one or two more episodes to go before we call it season 3? I think we agreed. I agreed. I don't know.
You're the boss, George.
Come on.
No. Oh, sorry.
All right. Nope, that's fine. All right, you guys. So I'm George. You can find me at Chooch99A.
But don't call him Chooch.
That's fine. You can call me Chooch.
That should be his nickname. Don't call me Chooch.
No, you can call me. You can call me asshole. I don't care.
Just don't.
My girlfriend agreed. You can call me whatever you want.
Just don't call him late for dinner.
Well, I make dinner, so.
That just reminded me how hungry I am, son. Thank you.
You have to make another.
It's a gift.
Carlos made a pot roast or something on one of our episodes.
Oh yeah, I did it as we actually were.
You did. You made a pot roast. That's exactly what I'm talking about. So, anyways, join us again because we are always talking about geekdom. But not only that, we might do a cooking show, and Son will be the lead on that show. It's going to be called Son. We're making this up as I go. Son makes up cooking stuff. If you're a geek, right, Son?
We'll work on the title.
Well, yeah, we have to work on that.
We're gonna need to work. It ain't no. Don't wake up the baby.
It ain't. And Raul, I hate to say this, you're awake, and you have to like forward us your schedule as far as your sleep cycle. But
I can't do that.
All right.
It's ever changing.
It is ever changing, but you did pipe in at the right time. Good episode as far as you piping in. Subjective, but I'm joking. But I liked it. So, anyways, you guys.
I will say this: if I'm the lead of a cooking show, I will have to get my Julia Child voice down.
Oh my God!
Oh, that would be fun.
That could really be fun.
Do it, son. Do it.
So which voice should I have? Julia Child from the cooking show or Julia Child from We're Back, a Dinosaur Story?
I can totally hear Julia Child in your voice.
I can too. And I can totally hear.
We'll have to work on it, won't we?
Julia Childs, wherever you are, Sunseal is in you.
Oh. All right.
There's no better line to lead out with than that one.
Exactly.
Thanks, Zeb.
Thank you for joining us and being awake.
Thank you.
Carlos, thank you for being awake.
Thank you for keeping me awake.
Son, thank you for being awake and talking about Julia Childs.
It's like midnight here. It's 1 a.m. for you. Man, your Taco Bell's already starting to close. Shit.
They just actually declared that Taco Bell is actually healthy. That's another subject.
Compared to what?
No, they did. It was actually something that was on my social media.
Compared to all the romaine lettuce that's been taken off the store shelves?
Yeah, probably. And we will join you guys next time. No, you will join us next time if you want to. By the way, Carlos is the guy that does Axe Monitor. And by the way, Carlos, one quick thing. There's something new that happened, didn't it?
Something new?
Have you
been dating lately?
Update? Was it?
Have you been dating?
Yeah, there was a new update.
Yeah, about the tardigrade lawsuit.
All right, link it. I'm gonna link it down below.
He was
okay,
or you could just tell me. He was trying to edge you for information, Carlos. But
no,
we didn't reach completion.
Yeah, we didn't.
I think that happens a lot to George.
Only on Thursdays. And we will join you guys the next time. By the way, if you want to understand Carlos, I will link you.
Okay.